Hey everybody, Colonel Jack is here. Went to the store this morning, picked up my copy of the new Soulblight Gravelords Tome and a couple other goodies. Just wanted to go see about doing maybe a quick overview. Still wrapped, so I gotta open this up and cruise through it, and we'll go over that. But also, we're gonna be let's see what else we got. We got the pack of dice. Always got to get some dice. That's fun. And then we picked up the new kit for Luca Vi, Mother of Nightmares. Pretty cool box. I don't know if this is actual size or not. Normally it'll have like a little 100% like magnifying glass to tell you that that's actual size or not. So we'll do an unboxing and maybe a quick build video for that. And then we also have a box of new Blood Knights. So the store had a couple. I only picked up one. Wanted to make sure everybody else could, pick up what they wanted. If there even are any other Death players in my area, not too sure how many other people are playing Death at the moment. But probably see a lot more now with the new kit and the new boxes and everything. So let's go ahead and open up the Battletomb and take a peek inside. Alright, I just opened the saran wrap on there, or the shrink wrap. So we're going to look at this kind of as a first look, first impressions, because I haven't even opened it yet. So let's take a look here. Really like the cover art. I think everybody agrees on that. Alright. Got our table of contents here. Some cool pictures. So let's see. Undying King, Battle for the Soul, Realm of Death, Underworlds of Shaiish, Chronicles of Endless Night, looks like. That's probably some of the background information for each of the units. Colors, that's probably going to be painting. March is probably going to be their gallery, picture gallery, painting, and then Allegiance abilities, Path to Glory. I really want to see what the Path to Glory is. Talking with the manager of the local store, he said he got a peek at it, and it was really good. I guess he just started a Path to Glory with one of his small groups. And then more scrolls. So let's take a look here. Midnight Atrocity. Some pretty cool art. I'm gonna enjoy reading these. Page has an interesting texture to it. Realm of Death, Gravesand, Hierarchy. I think we saw some of these pictures on Warhammer Community. So it'll be nice to go through and read all the lore here. What your first one was? Legion of Night, Legion of Blood, Virkos, Dynasty. I really like the art on the sides too, kind of framing everything in. I always think that's cool. Chronicles of the Endless Night, so it kind of gives you some of the timeline, what's been going on. And then you get the little background for the units here. Manfred, Neferata. I actually kind of started the army based around Neferata, but I just bought her. I just did an unboxing video for the Skeleton Hordes, so that should be either up now or up shortly after this. Luca Vi. Whenever I hear her name, it makes me think of Luca from Mini Wargaming. Just the Luca the dice, man. Alright, and then we got champions. So we've got Vampire Lords, Prince Vordry, Blood Knights, Vargheists, the Undying, so Coven Thrones, Bloodseeker Palanquins, Fellbats, Blood of the Wolf, Rudokar, Court of the Wolf, Belladama, Lady Annika, and then the Rat Guy, Rat Prince, Kritza, then Death Rattle, your Skelly Boys, your Macabre Horrors, your Zombies and Necromancers, Corpse Carts, Mortis Engines, Dire Wolves, And then your beasts, your Terrorgeist, your zombie dragons. So, from my understanding, spirit hosts aren't in here, which are a little sad because in my last Path to Glory, or my first and last Path to Glory with these guys, I had a bunch of spirit hosts that I rolled up. So yeah, here's the colors. So kind of the gallery really shows off the paint jobs that they did on these. I'm interested in the Vigorian Lord and the Lucavi kit because I want to see if I might be able to just magnetize the top half to be able to switch in between them. And if so, that'll be part of the video, the build and unboxing video. Yeah. Conrad, Neferata. Really cool art. You got the new skeletons in there. You've got that new Vampire Lord. I was looking for the Crimson Court, but evidently they've been sold out for a while locally. Belladama, Rudikar, Radikar. Got your Blood Knights. These guys should be a cool kit. I'm glad that they updated them and dropped the price, which is nice. That was something that was preventing me from getting them before. That's a really cool looking shield on the right king. Or white king. Yeah, Fell Bats, really cool sculpts too. I think those come out. I think those came out today. I think some of the other kits are coming out this next week. Here's that Crimson Court. I think all of these would be pretty cool as just using as Vampire Lords also, if you didn't want to use the actual Crimson Court. I think Prince Duval has actually probably some decent rolls. We'll take a look here. March of the Living Dead, so they'll give you a sample army. So they use Manfred, White King on Steed. Where's he at? In the picture. What number is he? He's number 2. Oh, he's here. Then you've got the regular White King, Necromancer here, Death Rattle Skeletons here, Deadwalker Zombies, Graveguard. One thing I was worried about was the old sculpts of the Graveguard kind of clashing with the new sculpts of the skeletons. But I don't know. The way they painted, they fit decently, but the new skeletons just look so much bigger than the Graveguard do. I do like that at least they're armored more than they were before. So they do blend armor-wise a little bit more with the Graveguard, but the Graveguard is supposed to have a better save, I think. Then we've got the Corpse Cart here with the Lotus Stone, and then Balefire Brazier here. So we got 2 Corpse Carts, Direwolves in the back, and then Bargheists. What did we miss? Oh, Black Knights. 5 Black Knights. So they kind of got one of most things there. Nice kind of showing. And then how to paint. These are always handy, depending on what you're looking for. I really like the how to paint the banners. I kind of use some of that on my Ogre Maw tribes, trying to figure out good ways to paint the Maw. So these are always helpful. So Vampire Black Armor, Direwolf Fur, Direwolf Details, Vargeist Details, Zombie Flesh, Zombie Cloth, Bat Details. Actually a long section here. Blood Knight Armor. I always like the red armor, so I might have to take a look at that a little bit more on how they did their red. And then different details for 2 of the dynasties here. And then we get our allegiance abilities. So I know a lot of this was spoiled online. one thing I did notice looking online was if a unit already has a lineage keyword on its war scroll, cannot get another one, but it does not preclude you from including the unit in your army. But you cannot use the allegiance abilities for this dynasty or legion, where the old book, if say you're running Legion of Blood, but you wanted to take Conrad, you had to take Neferata first. So you had to take both if you wanted to take one that wasn't your main character. So that's nice that it doesn't keep you from taking one. So you could play like the Virkos and take Conrad or Neferata with that. But it doesn't mean you have to take Radikar or somebody else, which is interesting. Alright, and then we've got our Legion of Blood battle traits, command traits, artifacts. So these will be interesting to go over. I know, I'm sure there's other videos online that read them over page by page. So, but this is just kind of a first look. Legion of Night, command traits, artifacts, Virkos. I really like Virkos so far. I had one of the wound rolls for attacks made with weapons by friendly Death Rattle and Deadwalker units when a vampire hero is within 9, wholly within 9. Because that really buffs your skeletons and your Black Knights and your zombies and your dire wolves. I think we'll get to that in a little bit here too when we're looking at some of the war scrolls. Castella Dynasty. So this is the vampire-based one for the Blood Knights. Avangori's big monsters. So your Terrorgeists and your zombie dragons. You get your spell lore. I know everybody's kind of poo-pooing the lore of vampires and calling the death mages better, which I can understand. Got some good ones in death mages. And then of course if you cast it on a 9+, I think it goes off an extra time. Oh, I think that's earlier. I think that's in the loci. Then you've got your full battle plan, path to glory. So they keep changing these, or at least they change it and like update it every once in a while. So it's kind of interesting to look at it, because sometimes the charts here will either preclude you from taking it an additional time, like your champion reward. If they already have a champion reward, you must take your follower reward instead. Some of them don't say that, so then you just kind of lose out on the champion reward. If you guys hear that, sorry, it sounds like my tortoise is scraping against some gardening tools, moving them around. So that's nice that it still says just take a follower reward, and then if all your followers already have rewards, then you get an additional follower instead. So champion reward, hey, he's got one already, go to follower rewards. Hey, all my followers already have a reward, but you get a new follower, which is nice, instead of losing out on an ability or just keep stacking champion rewards on to your leader. And then let's look at the table here. Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, 3 followers still. It's quite a few. Quite a few followers. And they changed it before each legion kind of had their own table that they'd roll on. So it's nice that they changed it. Right now, Elite, Behemoth. See, before, under Behemoth, it was only the Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragon. Then you were only limited to 1 Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragon for the army. So if you had a Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, you couldn't get another one. You could only get the Terrorgeist. And then this uses 3 rolls. Before it used 2. Let's see. Blood Knights, Fire Guys. So these are all 2 rolls. These were 1 before. But depending on what Legion you were in, you wouldn't be even eligible for it because the list was shorter. And then you got your heroes, your White King, Necromancer, Vampire Lord. So, I don't know, if you roll this White King, can you get him on the steed? Or is it only as a champion? Or are they interchangeable? Because here they're interchangeable. Here it doesn't say. I doubt it'll get FAQ'd just because they don't generally FAQ a lot of the narrative stuff. But I would think if they're the same here, they should be the same there. Bloodseeker Palanquin, Coven Throne, Vigorian Lord, Necromancer, Vampire Lord, and the Right Kings. Retinues, 20 zombies, 10 wolves, 10 skeletons, 5 Graveguard, 5 Black Knights, or 3 Fellbats. So you could get pretty much all the choices except for the named characters, which is pretty normal. You got your champion rewards, your hero retinue, elite retinue, and followers table, and then a behemoth. Some more cool pictures. Oh, I've got facing up against some Slanesh here. Other really cool new models. Got some Slain Gore. Get your War Scrolls. Legion is... Alright, let's try this again. Evidently my battery died and I was still going. So, had to go back, watch the video, see where it died. And my phone's making noises. But it looks like we just finished Path to Glory and now we're on to the War Scrolls. The War Scroll here, if you take, or the battalion, if you take the other 4 battalions, your summonable units automatically heal up to 3 or regain models with 3 or less wounds. So there's that. You might hear my daughter in the background too. She's always excited. She's watching movies. And so we've got battalions. Basically you've got your vampire battalion, your bat beasts, your Vargeist and your Fellbats, your Deadwalkers, so Corpse Cart, Direwolves, Zombies, and then your skeletons, so your White King, Black Knights, Graveguard, and Death Rattle skeletons. And you've got Nagash, the big boss himself, and I know he's gone up in points, but we'll have to go through his big old War Scroll here to see if anything else actually changed. Got Manfred here. I think I was calling him Conrad earlier because I'm a dork. But Manfred, he's got a pretty cool command abilities. I've been trying to figure out decent combos with the command abilities. So his command ability, add 1 to hit and wound rolls for Soulblight Graveyard units wholly within 12. Which is good, so he's nice and offensive. Neferata, hers, subtract 1 from hit rolls made with melee weapons that target Soulblight Graveyard units wholly within 12. So she's very defensive. In combination with her spell, which is ignore negative modifiers when making save rolls for units that attack the target of the cast. So you pick 1 unit within 12 and you ignore rend basically with them. So ignore rend, -1 to hit, and then Manfred's +1 to hit, +1 to wound for all units, Soulblight Graveyard units within 12, so it's a nice aura. Well, there are some others that are pick a unit and add +1 hit, +1 wound. He does have a nice handy other ability, Mortarch of Night. At the start of the combat phase, if you're within 3 inches of an enemy, so say you get charged and you don't want to be charged, then just remove the model and set them up anywhere else on the table. So that's very defensive for him, but then your units, if you spent that command ability, are going to lose that -1 hit, -1 wound. So he can be very, very hard to get a hold of if somebody's trying to pin him down. Say like a Frost Lord on Stonehorn or something charges at him, and you don't want him to die. You might want to zap him away. Prince Vordry, pretty handy. He still has the Chalice of Blood, which the other Vampire Lords on Zombie Dragon no longer have, so you could heal the D6. His Bloodlance adds +2 damage on the charge, and another +1 rend. So, say Prince Vordry hanging out with Manfred for that +1 to hit, +1 to wound, makes his Bloodlance 4 attacks, 2s and 2s, -3, 4 damage. That's huge. That's huge. That's, what, up to 16 wounds? Just from that, at -3. Pretty good. Plus you still get his dragon and his breath and everything. So, there's that. Prince Duval in that Crimson Court. Let's see. Prince Duval add 1 to hit rolls for units. That target unit. So his spell, is you pick an enemy unit, and on a 5, your army gets +1 hit against him. So it's like, alright, great. I want your big beastie dead. I'm going to charge him with like 3 units. And everybody gets +1 to hit. So with that and our buddy Manfred, that's +2 to hit. Alright, pretty good. But depending on what happens in AOS 3, that may not last. If it takes after 40k, then you may cap it +1 for modifiers. Then his Crimson Court, basically they get to fly. You gotta all hang out with each other. The dude with the big mace gets +2 wounds. So he's got 3, and then the other characters have just 1. So they might be a little bit squishy. But they have the hunger, so they could heal wounds. They can't bring back models. So basically you want to try to tank with Gorath, the Enforcer. Maybe he takes 1 or 2 wounds and then heal back up. And when they move, they could pass over terrain as if it could fly. Luca Vi, alright. One of the big new monsters. Move 12, 11 wounds, 3+ save, 10 bravery. She can fly. Let's see. Her rapier, 4 attacks, 3s, 3s, -1, 2 damage. Then her big talons, 3s, 4, 3, -1 d6. So like if you get that, you know, Conrad and Prince Duval for the +2 to hit. Alright, then she's down to 2s to hit. And then the wound from Conrad would be down to 2s. And then you got the tail, d6 attacks, 4, 4, no rend, 1 damage. Let's see. After you make a charge move, pick an enemy unit within an inch. Roll a dice for each inch that you made in your charge move. On a 5 up to take a mortal wound. So it's kind of like the ogre charge, but a little bit better because the ogres are on 6s unless you're a big unit or a monster. So good charge ability there. Nightmare Miasma, so reduced rend of weapons by 1 for enemies within 3 inches, down to rend dash. So if you don't have Neferata for that ignore rend, then she still helps with reducing rend. Let's see, undeniable impulse. Roll a dice. If the roll is equal to or less than the current battle round, until your next hero phase, you could run and charge. later in the same turn. However, you cannot use your command ability. So early in the game, you could use your command abilities, and then she's no longer able to deny her impulses towards the end of the game as it gets harder and harder to roll over the battle round. So on battle round 5, you'd have to roll a 6. Okay, let's see. Equal to or less than. Yeah. Let's see. Or am I reading that wrong? At the start of your hero phase, roll a dice. If the model with the roll is equal to or less than the current battle round, until your next hero phase, this model can run and charge later in the same turn. So battle round 1, you have to roll a 1 or less, and then you could run and charge. Okay, yeah. So turn 5, you'd have to roll a 5 or less, and then you'd run and charge. So you'd have to roll a 6 in order to use your command ability. Hunger, so she self-heals, and then her magic, Death's Downpour, casting value of 8, so it's actually pretty hard to get off. If successful, charge rolls made for enemy units within 12 are halved until your next hero phase. So that'd be handy if she needs to go out and sacrifice herself to save the army. You know, she'll run out there, put out this huge 12-inch bubble of having charges. So she could be 7 inches away from an enemy and basically be unchargeable. Because even if they roll a 12, it's a 6, and they can't get within half an inch then. So that could be pretty useful. And then her command ability, uses command ability once per turn. Do so, pick an enemy on the battlefield. Until your hero phase, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by friendly Soulblight Gravelords monsters that target that enemy unit. So this really only works for, let's see, I think she's a monster. Yeah, she's a monster. The Roaring Lord is a monster. And then you're looking at your Terrorgeists and your Zombie Dragons. Alright, so it's not that great unless you're running quite a few monsters. Or she needs to buff herself. But it's also against 1 enemy unit on the battlefield. There's no range to it. So she could be sitting in the back of the board supporting your skeletons or whatever with the -1 rend to help save them while your big beasties are going out attacking stuff. And she could go, oh well, that Maw Crusher or whatever, you're gonna get +1 hit against it. Vigorian Lord, very similar or the same. Yeah, his Nightmare Saber compared to her Rapier is the same. 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. Talons are the same, 3 attacks, 4, 3, -1 d6. And then the tail. He gets the miasma as well. He's got the undeniable impulse as well. His spell is different. Cast on a 6, pick an enemy unit within 12, and visible. Add 1 to wound rolls. So that's good too. Extra wounding for an enemy within 12. And then his command ability. At the end of the combat phase, if any attacks made by friendly Soulblight Gravelords units destroys an enemy unit. If you do so, you can heal up to d6 wounds allocated to that Soulblight Gravelords unit. The same unit cannot benefit from this ability more than once per phase. Say you've got your Blood Knights or a Palanquin or something going in, and they kill at least 1 model, then they get a heal. It's good. When does that happen? So use this in the command ability, or in the command ability at the end of the combat phase. So you already know the results of the combats, which is nice. So you don't, if nothing happens, you don't waste a command ability. And then you could also tell if a unit lost whole models, then you don't want to necessarily do this because it's not going to bring back models. It'll only heal models that were hurt. So like your vampire lords and your big baddies may benefit from the D6. Your cavalry that have 2 or 3 wounds will benefit from it. And we've got Belladonna. Did we skip somebody? Did we skip a page? No. Alright, Belladonna. She's a really good caster. She could pass wounds off to direwolves, which is cool. She adds 1 to casting, dispel, and unbinds, which is nice. She casts 2, deny 2. Lycan curse. Casting value of 7. If successful, pick an enemy unit within 18. The cast invisible suffers D3 mortal wounds. If any models were slain by the spell, before removing the last slain model, you can add 1 direwolf to your army. The number of models in this new unit must be equal to the number of models in the enemy unit that were slain by this spell. So you cast it, say you get 2 mortal wounds against a unit of goblins. You remove the first one. Before you remove the second one, you add a unit of 2 goblins, or of 2 direwolves, and within 3 inches of the slain model's unit. And then, yeah, within 3 inches, slain model's unit, and then remove the last slain model from play. So because they're within 3 inches, that means they're in combat, which is interesting. I'm gonna take a drink here real quick. All right. So that's an interesting way to maybe tie down a unit. I'm sure at that point too, because that's going to be casted in your hero phase. They may want to retreat. They may not want to be in combat. So it might be an easy way to say maybe kill units or models from a screen unit, pull the models, and then place the wolves maybe behind the unit, depending on where your enemy pulls from, and then you fall back into their back lines. Maybe, I don't know. Could be an interesting little trick. Under the Killing Moon, casting on a 6, successful. For your next hero phase, unmodified hit rolls for an attack made with a melee weapon for Soulblight Gravelords wholly within 12 of the caster that is a 6, inflicts 2 hits on the target instead of 1. Make wound and save rolls for each as normal. So it's unmodified, so it doesn't benefit your plus to hit spells and abilities. That'll give you more hits anyway, and then your 6s to hit are 2 hits. Luckily it's not attacks, so it's just exploding hits. So you want to maybe use that on a unit that has a lot of attacks, or on a unit that's got, you know, excuse me, a good number of attacks that are very quality, maybe multi-wound attacks. Pack Alpha command ability. At the start of your hero phase, pick 1 friendly direwolves unit within 12. That unit is eligible to fight in the combat phase if it's within 6 of an enemy instead of 3. So it gives them a 6-inch pile-in with extra 3 inches. So that's always fun. So they could gives them the ability then to to run, move and run, and then they could still pile in if they're within 6, because they wouldn't need to charge then. Lady Annika, the Thirsting Blade. She gets to ignore wounds and mortal wounds on 4s. And then at the end of the phase, if any models were slain, she just heals back to full. So then she's got 6. So she gets taken down to 2 or 3 wounds from her 6. As long as she killed a model, she's back to 6. Crits of the Rat Prince. If he's been slain on a 4+, you can a new model identical to the one that was slain is added to the army. Set it up anywhere with it on the battlefield more than 9 inches away from enemy units. So he's almost invincible. You know, he dies, he becomes a bunch of rats, right? And then he reforms somewhere else on the table. I'll probably get FAQ'd because people are saying that say he dies once and then comes back and then he dies again. Well, then this model's died twice and you roll twice to see if he comes back. Right? And then say you get a third one and he dies and you roll 3 times and then 3 of them come back. I don't think that's how they want it to play, so that'll probably get a FAQ. It's supposed to only be 1. I don't think he's going to multiply. If so, he'd take over the world just by killing himself and having 1,000,000 copies. Right? Nauseating aromas subtract 1 from hit rolls made with melee weapons that attack this model. Radikar the Wolf and Radikar the Beast. So this is from Curse City. This is his after form. They're pretty similar to each other. They both have this call to the hunt. Add 1 to attacks characteristics for melee weapons used by friendly Soulblight Gravelords wholly within 18 of the model at the end of the phase. But I believe he has to charge. At the start of the combat phase, if you do, pick 1 model with this command ability that made a charge move that turn. So it's you gotta make a charge move and then use this in the combat phase, and it's within 18, so it's a good size aura for a +1 attack. So that +1 attack in combination with Belladamma's exploding 6s would be really useful. And then Radikar the Beast has that same thing, but he also gets Mustering Howl as a command ability. Use this once per battle. The end of your movement phase, if you do so, add a unit of 10 direwolves. So he's just like, alright, command point, add 10 direwolves to my army. Good job. I was thinking of like Radikar the Beast, along with maybe some, what are they, the Aberrants from Death Eater Courts, to add like ghouls. So you could add, say you have 2,000 point game, you could get 2 of the Aberrants, I think, to summon 20 ghouls, and then this guy will send another 20 or 10 direwolves. And then if you've got Belladamma casting her spell to add more direwolves. So there is some summoning in here, in addition to just bringing back dead units. Goreslav, the Gravekeeper, Chamberlain, Vikros, Bloodborne, the Knight, the Watch Captain here, all part of the Cursed City, which they announced that they're going to sell these separate from the game, which will be interesting. But you have to buy all these guys, and Radikar the Wolf all together, along with the Night Guard and the Vargscree, the giant bat dude. So Whether that's worth the 700 points or whatever, I don't know. Could be interesting. But it's just a little sad that you can't get Curse City. Let's see, what do we got next? Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon. Cool. So it feels like we're still in, you know, leaders. These all kind of go with Radicar the wolf, so kind of part of leaders. A lot of leaders in the book. The Vampire Lord, no blood chalice. So he got a little bit worse with his staying power. As far as I can tell, his breath is the same. Pestilential breath. You roll a dice if it's equal to or less than the number of, equal to or less the number of models in the unit. His breath automatically hits. If it's not, then you still have to roll a hit on a 3-up. So, as long as you're targeting a unit of 6 or more, hey, breath auto hits. For Ren 3 d6 damage. Deathlands they changed. Similar to, or it's the same as Prince Fordrai, plus 2 damage, minus 1 rend. So his lance, he only gets 3 attacks instead of 4. But it'd be Ren 2 and 4 damage. And Prince Fordrai is quite a bit better. Let's take a look. Prince Fordrai. Yeah, he's 4-3-3-2-2. Alright. And this is, his blood lance is also 2 inches. Here it's 1. 3 attacks, 3-3, 1-2. So the hit and wound are the same, but 1 less inch range, 1 less attack, 1 less rend, but the same damage. Alright. He gets his self-healing. His Curse of Exhaustion is basically 4-up mortal wound until you don't roll a 4-up anymore, then it stops. So I think he's gotten a bit of a downgrade. So you may just use Prince Fordrai instead, unless you need that relic or something on your Vampire Lord. Blood Knights. Alright, 10-inch move, 3 wounds, 3 plus save, 10 bravery. Again, I don't understand, why are their lances only 1 inch? Big lances, or blades, and they're only 1 inch. I can understand the swords, but lances, I mean, just make them 2 inches. It's just an aesthetic. 3-3, minus 1 damage. Champion gets an extra attack, so the champion will get 4. Standard bearer. Reroll 1s for deathless minions. Riders of Ruin. If they're within 3 inches at the start of their movement, they basically run through the unit and cause mortal wounds. You can hit multiple units. I believe the way it reads now is it actually kind of counts as a fallback move. So, I mean, right now that means you can't charge after you do that. So either you want to stick in combat and keep fighting, or do mortal wounds and get out of combat. Martial Fury. Add 1 to the damage characteristic of this lances or blades. The turn that it charged. Cool. So it's 2 damage. So 3 attacks, 3-3 minus 1, 2 damage on the turn they charge. And then the Hungering, they heal. Cool. Vargeist. Just got some more of these guys. Let's see, 12-inch move, 4 wounds, 5 up, 10 bravery. So, good number of wounds. Good number of wounds. They do count as vampires. Fly, champion, gets 1 extra attack, so he gets 4, everybody else gets 3. 3-3 minus 1, 2 damage. That's a pretty nasty looking profile. Blood Meta and Feeding Frenzy. They get exploding 6s. So unmodified 6 is 2 hits instead of 1. Now will that stack with Belladonna? see. This says Soulblight Gravelords unit within 12. Different names, so I would assume that they stack. So if you get a 6 here, then you probably score 3 hits instead of just 1. Because you get count as 2 for Maddening Feeding Frenzy, and then the count as 2 for Under the Killing Moon. So it probably counts as 3, I would think. Death's Descent, they get to Deep Strike. Vampire Lord. Cool. Her ability here. Combat phase. Pick a friendly summonable unit. Soulblight Gravelords summonable unit, wholly within 12. Add 1 to the attack's characteristic. So there's another +1 attack that could work with Belladamma's exploding 6s. Alright. Where was that other +1 attack from? So that's a +1 attack. Oh, it was Radikar. So that's +2 attacks, right? So you could do +2 attacks, plus all those, plus to hits, plus to wounds, exploding 6s. So you can kind of see where, if depending on your supporting characters, how many points you want to put into your supporting characters, you could really buff up a big unit or spread those buffs around for plus to hit, plus to wound, extra attacks, exploding 6s. She's on foot, so she'll probably be hanging out with your Graveguard or your skeletons or your zombies. Your Bloodseeker Palanquin. You got your Wail of the Damned for mortal wounds. Before it went against leadership or bravery, excuse me. Before it went against bravery, now it's just on a 4-up. You do D3 mortal wounds. No command ability. Find vintage if an enemy hero is slain within 9 inches of this model. Again, add 1 to attack's characteristics. Use for melee weapons used by vampire units only within 12. So vampire units. So that's your other lords and your blood knights for another attack. So that could be up to +3 attack on. Or no, still +2 because the vampire lord is summonable. Right, and then this is vampire, so these kind of balance each other out. Mortis Engine. Again, you still get the same Wail. You get a Reliquary. You open it, you roll a dice for each unit within 12. 2-up, these suffer D3 mortal wounds. Death units are not affected. So even if you're fighting an enemy that's death, say Flesh Eater Courts, then that's not going to affect them. But you get add 1 to casting rolls for friendly Soulblight Wizards within 12. So if Belladamma's around, she gets +2. Coven Throne, this one I think is really good also. You don't get your Wail with this one, but you get some extra stiletto attacks from the extra vampires that are on the throne there. But their command ability, Tactical Insight. Pick a Soulblight Gravelords unit wholly within 12. Until your next hero phase, add 1 to hit and wound rolls, and then add 1 to save rolls. So, hit, wound, save, right? With Conrad, that's another hit, wound. And if you take our other friend, Neferata, right, with her Ignore Rends, so you could be +1 save and Ignore Rend. So you put that on your Blood Knights, now they're 2-up save, Ignore Rends. And then say, you get an extra attack from a fine vintage from the Palanquin. So even with just that, It's what, 4 attacks, 2s and 2s, -1, and then 2 damage on the charge, with a 2-up save, unrendable. And then you probably -1 to hit also with Neferata being close by. Make them pretty gross. Necromancers. Everybody's still talking about Van Hells. So Van Hells, you pick one friendly Soulblight Gravelords summonable within 18 till your next hero phase. The unit's only fought once in the combat phase. Then it's your turn to pick a fight, and they can fight again for a second time. So whether it be zombies or skeletons, or I'm pretty sure Black Knights or wolves, or so many different units that should make a good bulk if your army gets to fight twice. People are liking this for the skeletons. But I think it could be really good with zombies too, because zombies here, they get a 6-inch pile in to fight, only a 4-inch move, so they're going to be moving and probably running every turn to get within that 6 inches so they could just pile in. But the newly dead, unmodified hit roll for an attack made by this unit that's a 6, inflicts a mortal wound on the target, and the sequence ends. They only get 1 attack though, but they're hitting on 5s anyway. So if you give them this to fight again, so that's 2 attacks. But if you give them the Coven Throne, right, for a hit, wound, and save, right, so then they're hitting and wounding on 4s, and they actually get a save of a 6. But then you can give them extra attacks with Vampire Lord because they're summonable. So then they're going from 2 attacks from fighting twice to 4 attacks. They then have 2 attacks twice. And then if you go with Rudikar, the Beast, or the Wolf, probably the Beast, because the Wolf you have to take everybody else. It's another attack if he charges. So there are 3 attacks each time, so 6 attacks because they fight twice with 4s and 4s. Alright. So that gives you a bunch of chances to get those 6s. You should take these guys in units of 40 still, I think. So that could be useful. Corpse carts. They're both a little bit different. Add 1 to save rolls for Deadwalker zombies. So that together puts them at a 6. And then again with the Coven Throne, add 1 to saves. So they could actually be at a 5 save. And then add 1 to casting for your friendlies. And then the other corpse cart is subtract 1 from wound rolls and subtract 1 from enemy casters within 18. I like this one better because this one affects any friendly models within 9 that are victims of melee attacks. Well, this one only affects Deadwalker zombies. And it's 1 to the save. This is 1 from wound rolls. So I like the wound rolls better. Not only does it affect more, but I think it'll come in handy more often than the save. Could be wrong. I don't know. Probably both together. Optimal, right? But sometimes you got to pick and choose. And if I were to get one, I'd probably go with the Balefire Braziers. All right, Zombie Dragon. Basic guy. 14-inch move, 14 wounds, 10 bravery, 4 save. He just doesn't have the Vampire Lord on there, so he's not going to get any healing or anything. He just has the breath attack. He could fly. So pretty basic. 3 attacks with the Snapping Maw, do 6 damage. Sword-like Claws, 2 damage. Nothing too exciting. Terrorgeist, I think has potential still only because of the mortal wound output that they have with the Death Shriek. That is still against bravery, so the fact that the army reduces bravery depending on how many units are next to the enemy, either one will reduce by 1, 2 or more will reduce bravery by 2. So this still has a chance to do some mortal wounds here. And then the Fanged Maw, 3 attacks, 4/3, minus 2d6, can still reduce, or can still do mortal wounds as well. With the Gaping Maw, unmodified 6 with the attack, inflicts 6 mortal wounds. So it's just flat 6 mortal wounds, so you don't have to even roll the d6. And then of course it dies. Each unit within 3 suffers d3 mortal wounds. White King on Skeletal Steed. So White King on foot, you get Beheading Strike. Let's see. Hit roll for an attack that is 6, suffers 1 mortal wound in addition to normal damage. So you still get, so it's 1 mortal wound, and then even if it doesn't wound, it still does the 1. If it does wound, it's still minus 1d3 on top of it. So minimum 2 damage. And then command ability, you can use this, then pick 1 friendly Death Rattle unit within 12, and you can reroll hit rolls of 1. So, not great. You do it in the hero phase, so if they don't get into combat, then you don't get to reroll, right? And then you could also just use all-out attack for reroll ones. So something might be changing in the next edition. I don't know, but that looks pretty useless to me. On Steed, you don't get the Beheading Strike. Instead, you get the Deathly Charge. On a 2-up, so after you make a charge move, pick an enemy unit within an inch, roll a dice. On a 2-up, they suffer d3 mortals. Okay, I like that better than on a 6 to hit, right? It's on a 2-up, d3 mortals, right? Command ability, pick your hero phase, pick a death rattle unit within 12, right? Reroll hits, same thing. So Lord of Bones for both. Again, why wouldn't you just use all-out attack? Black Knights. Let's see, they are summonable, so all those other summonable buffs can work on them for the extra attacks, right? Hits and wounds. So, you know, get the extra attacks, exploding hits, get the plus to hit, plus to wound, you know, plus to save, make them a 4-up save, unrendable possibly. And what do? Standard Bearer, reroll 1s for Deathless Minions, Musician, charges of less than a 6 are treated as 6, which is good. Deathly Charge, again, same thing as the White King on Skeletal Steed. 2-up, after a charge, pick unit within 1, and d3 mortal wounds. So, multiple small units of Black Knights may be good. Try and run them all in a single enemy unit. D3 mortal wounds from each one. And then because they're within range of 2 or more units, they're minus 2 on bravery. Make more run. Plus if you're Legion of Blood, it's an extra d3 if vampires nearby. So that could be good, just mortal wounds and morale, and make the enemy run that way. Gravelords, or Graveguards. Again, all the buffs, they start with 2 attacks, right? 3s and 3s minus 1 damage for the White Blade. Grey Blade, still 2 attacks. 3 and 4 minus 1, 2 damage. So you'd really want to try and buff their 2 wounds. And you could get them down to a 2, probably a 2/2 with how many add 1 to hit and wounds that there are. And then add to their attacks. You get them, say, 4 attacks, make them fight twice, 8. on 2s and 2s, right? -1, 2 damage each. And say they have a 4-up save with -1 to be hit and -1 to be wounded. Like this whole army, depending on where you put your buffs, each unit can be super strong if you get that combination off. They have their standard for the reroll ones for deathless minions. They have their musician for at least a 6-inch charge. Their cursed weapons, so you give them all those attacks. Then wound rolls, unmodified wound rolls of 6s do mortal wounds also. So that's really good. And then the shields add 1 to save rolls. So if you want them to be like your anvil unit, you could get them down to a 3-up save. Right? Coven Throne adds 1. Shield adds 1. That gets them down to a 3. Neferata makes them unrendable. Death Rattle Skeletons. This is where everybody's saying to use Van Hells. That's because when you pick this unit to fight, roll a dice for each model in this unit that was slain in the phase. On a 4-up, return the model to this unit. So if you've got a 30-man blob and you charge, and you choose them last to fight, and say, heck, 15 of them die, half the unit dies, right? You roll your 4-ups for 15 of them. On average, you'll get, what, 7 or 8 back? Great. So you went from 15 to, 20, 22, 23, and they fight. And one attack each, unless you put all those other buffs, get up to 3. And then they fight again. You still lost 7 or 8 from before. They're missing, so you roll again. 4-ups. You might get 3 or 4 more back. So you're around, what, 26, let's say? 26 skeletons of your 30 back. So maybe you've lost 4. So if you've lost 4 and you roll a 6 on your bravery, you're still fine. Interesting. And again, you add those pluses. They're already 3s and 4s. So you don't need much to buff them up to actually hit and wounding pretty well. They do not have a musician though. So you don't get, you do not get your 6-inch minimum charge. Got your Underworld unit here. Don't know if that's changed or not. The Warden has wounds characteristic of 2. They've got all their different attacks. Frightening speed, reroll charge rolls, serve and death, unmodified hit rolls and an attack. Made this unit that are 6 scores 2 hits instead of 1. Cool. So they've got exploding 6s. Direwolves, awesome. Movement 10, 2 wounds, 5-up save, 10 bravery. 2 attacks, force 4s, no rend, 1 damage. But on the charge, add 1 hit and wound rolls for melee weapons. They made a charge this turn, so 3s and 3s. You just give them 1 buff, with +1 to hit, +1 to wounds, 2s and 2s. Fellbats, you can retreat and charge. And with a 14-inch move, probably pretty good for move blocking. You go to move block somebody, they charge you. If you're still alive after that, you could retreat, fall back over an enemy because they fly, right? And get to those support characters in the back lines. Could be pretty good. And then your pitched battle profiles, your basic Death Rattle Skeletons and Direwolves are your battle lines. Then you've got all kinds of options here. Battle line and Avengory, Battle line and Avengory. Battle line in Legion of Blood for Black Knights. Blood Knights are battle line in the Castelli Dynasty. Battle line in Gravelord army. That's your zombies. Yeah, you can take them up to 40 for 230 points. It's not bad for 40 guys. Battle line of Generals White King for your Grave Guard. Those guys are nasty with the great weapons. Battle line in Legion of Night for your Vargeists. Again, you know, exploding hits and 2 damage. Pretty good. And your 4 War Scrolls. I mean, the most expensive one is your Death March at 120. So like your all the other ones, not too expensive. Fellwing Flock, it's only 80. Heck, just getting an extra command point is 50. So for a couple more points, you're getting another relic item, also artifact. So I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty good. We'll have to take a look. Maybe build some sample stuff. But I've got a good feeling about this book. Much better feeling than I have for Slaanesh. So look forward to doing that. And let's see what we can do as far as with these models. Get on that for you guys. See if I could do a quick unboxing and maybe build the big Batlord. See what we can do to maybe magnetize him. Alright guys, until next time, thank you for watching. You have a good day.